everyone. Real quick before we get into our special guest interview today, I just wanted to come to you and announce who our top videos were of this week. We have, of course, 2 awards each week. One is the must-watch video of the week, and the second one is the top video of the week. So, first of all, our must-watch video, Florida's Worst Vlog presents the Rap must-watch video of week 1 is Prince Charming Dev and his epic video where he actually calls out the Vloggerverse, says he's going to be number 1, he's going to be on top, so watch out everybody. Awesome dinner at Topolino's. It's a must-watch video because you get to see not only Topolino's, you get to see Disney Springs, you get to see him at Mardi Gras, and you also get to see him riding Hagrid's. Great video, Prince Charming Dev. That is the must-watch of the week. And our top video, Florida's Worst Vlog, The Rap, top video of week 1 is none other than Nate at Paging Mr. Morrow and his video of the VRBO home themed like Star Wars. Check it out. Awesome stuff. Thank you so much, Nate. Your B-roll is fantastic. All of your videos are fantastic, but we really love this one this week. The tour through the Star Wars home was a lot of fun, and that's the top video of the week, and congratulations on your award. We'll, make something up for you, a trophy or something. So we are lucky enough today to have a very special interview live here on the big screen next to me. This gentleman produces some of the most creative, informative, and hilarious content in the Vloggerverse, and he calls himself your vlogger's favorite vlogger. Some of his stuff is just complete nonsense, but it's also, some of it is very well done and put together. I love his channel. I think everybody does. I don't know if he'd agree with me or not about the Goat Simulator, but you've got to watch it to believe it. But there's a lot of thought-provoking stuff on his page, and we're lucky enough to have him with us. This is the one and only Negrorlando, Shawn Rosell. Hello.
Hey, what's going on?
So thank you so much for taking time to be with us today on my premiere episode. Your stuff is so unique and so fun to watch that I've been a huge fan since day one. I don't know if you remember, Shawn, but I met you, the very first time I met you was 3 years ago.
It was at Universal Studios. I do remember that because I was with Dev
yep.
at the time, and I thought you were calling for Dev because when I was just new, and it's not something that like typically happens around that time, especially kind of starting off. So I didn't really think that anybody would really recognize me, and then you did. So I was like, oh yeah. So it's something that's always kind of stuck with me that you don't know who's watching.
That's cool. So I want to touch on just a couple Disney things, and we'll get the Disney stuff out of the way because I know you're trying to get away from being stereotyped as that Disney vlogger.
It's not so much of like just the stereotype of being the Disney vlogger. I still feel that the content is very rooted in the Disney community, which is fine, and it's fine to have that anchor in the Disney stuff. It doesn't mean like I want to completely break away from having Disney content because I'll always continue to make Disney content. But the biggest piece that I think a lot of people forget is sometimes you want to create layers on what you can do, and a lot of people just like that one like genre, and YouTube tells us and rewards you into just fixating on that one genre all the time, and that's how you grow. But I kind of have a different philosophy, and it almost kind of works against YouTube. But in order for one to stay, creatively fulfilled, then you have to do your best into making as much different stuff as you can, so that way, your content seems fresh when you go back to doing the Disney stuff. It doesn't feel like you are constantly rehashing something that you will have always rehashed.
Mm-hmm.
You go back, make something that you feel like you're passionate about, and then go back. And then go back and you make your Disney content, or you take a step back and then, make a little mini movie, and then you go back to the Disney stuff, and you can see how much you have changed and how much you grew just by learning and doing something different. So it's a benefit like that. A lot of people, if they step away from Disney for a bit, and they continue to make vlogs, I mean, you quickly find and discover what you want and who you are. And so it's not a big problem for those who go, I like to just do Disney stuff and theme park stuff. That's what I'm excited about. There's nothing wrong with that. But, I'm such a creative person, and I'm just kind of all over the place on a creative level. And I just want to make stuff and make stuff and make stuff and make stuff. And so knowing that, okay, I can do the Disney content if I want to, or I can just fall back and make something completely different. It's just about how to stay fulfilled creatively, but also stay kind of relevant, because the Disney content is a big market. It's a huge market. It's a rather niche market, but it's still huge at the long run. So I think every year there's still like new vloggers that come in, which is good. There's still more new people who want to give a crack at the vlogging thing, and it's always kind of like a New Year's resolution. But the biggest thing to take away from that is, you got to continuously kind of grind at it. You got to be creatively motivated. If you feel like you're stuck and you're just like, I don't know how much more Disney I could do, because it'll burn you out going there every day and making content, and you got to change it up and find something else that fits in that pocket.
Yeah. So when the Skyliner got announced and started getting built and everything, you were very outspoken about your determination to never get on that death trap, I think you called it. Then almost like you willed it into happening, the big accident on the Skyliner like 2 days after it opened. So what were your initial thoughts? Like, were you scared of your own powers, or were you did you just feel like totally vindicated in your statements about the Skyliner?
No, it's just ironic, I guess. When I said about the Skyliner and it's like all that, I really kind of, it's like, okay, I'm going to take this angle to kind of see if I can stand out, especially when it comes to like the videos. And that was like my big thing is like, okay, if I'm going to ride the Skyliner, how can I stand it out? And the best way to stand it out is to do whatever I anticipate was going to be the opposite. Because people are going to like the Skyliner, and it's actually not as bad as one will think, because you're still trying to get from point A to point B without having to take your car. And for me, Hollywood Studios is one of the best parks to get in and out of, like with ease. You can get in and out, and I don't have to walk too far and have to go too far. I'm always I can come in and out of the park super fast.
Correct, yeah.
But to go from Hollywood Studios to Epcot, and I don't have to drive my car to Epcot,
it's awesome.
Easy. I'm in. And so, it becomes kind of a no-brainer to do it. But at the same time, if I want to stand out, then I want to make the different video, knowing that everybody's going to love it. And now I'm going to do a video where I may say it's a death trap. Not going to say I hate it, because I actually said at the end of that video, hey, I really liked the Skyliner. This was a really fun and enjoyable trip. It is a little scary, because I think Disneyland at one point had the gondola system that traveled from one end of the park to the other end of the park, and I was always terrified of that. So it's like, okay, well, let me just lean into like that fear of being up that high, traveling from one end to the other end,
right?
And see what happens.
So you're denying any involvement in that accident?
No. Of course, I wasn't even near the parks. I think I was at work at that time when that happened. I don't know where I was at the time.
So speaking of Hollywood Studios, tell me about your first experience with Rise of the Resistance. How many times have you ridden that now?
I've rode it 3 times now, so it's a good ride. I haven't been on it since December, which is fine. It's a ride that I can wait a good 8 months to ride again. Like, I don't need to keep riding it over and over and over again. I can wait a while to do it. I just think like the first day I got up really early. It was like maybe like 3 in the morning, and got to Hollywood Studios and waited in line until, you know, you can get your fast pass or the boarding pass. Actually, you get the boarding pass, and I really tried to make sure I was the first one in it. But the first time I got it, like it wouldn't load properly, so I ended up getting like group. It was like 36, which doesn't seem a lot, but
still around noon.
But the ride broke down like several times.
Oh no!
And this is like right around. This is like maybe 3 days after opening, right?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of spoilers as this time. So I go and I get to ride the ride. Blows my mind. And then I believe like the next week I went again, and still blew my mind. And then like almost every Saturday for that entire month of December, I was at Hollywood Studios super early riding that ride.
Wow.
It is still just as good as it was the first time.
Absolutely. I don't think there'll ever be anything that'll beat that ride. It's just incredible. So the immersion.
Yeah. I mean, from what I hear, I think Runaway Railway would probably be just as good, but that's just kind of from what I hear. But who knows? It could very well be the worst ride in the world. But
did you hear the news today? Did you see the news release that's going to be on FastPass starting opening day?
They dropped yesterday, and everybody got on the FastPass, and I was too slow to get it.
But it's going to be tier
okay,
1, I guess. So.
If they got FastPasses for it, then that means there is a standby line for it.
So 3 a.m.
I'm more than likely.
3 a.m. opening day.
I probably won't wake up that long, but more than likely I'll probably get off of work and then go wait in line.
So you will be there opening day?
You know, to avoid spoilers, more than likely.
Yeah.
If it's to avoid spoilers, there's a very, very good chance I'll probably just, like, as soon as work is over, you can just drive right down to Hollywood Studios and then wait in line.
I don't think there's anybody out there that hates spoilers more than you do. Your video on the spoilers, man, you've taken that personally.
Well, it's you know, I used to think it was really funny to spoil things for others. It's not so much of the spoilers and the information of it. I just think it's a lot of the experience that you're taking away from someone else.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that if I'm riding this ride for the first time, and with Rise of the Resistance, it gave me a huge experience. That, you know, for me, it can't be taken away. It was such a mind-blowing experience, and it blew me away. But to take that away from somebody and having that same experience, then you're robbing them of something, right? You're taking that same experience that you got. If somebody can't have that same feeling, then I can't share that emotional connection with you.
Right.
I can't share that bond with you any longer.
You're a pretty big Star Wars fan, right? So what did you think overall of the land when it was built?
I liked it, actually. I really liked it. And, you know, less is more. And I think there's a lot to see in the land. There's a lot to do in Batuu that a lot of people may take for granted. I mean, it's a fun little area. It doesn't have to have a lot of
app games and stuff. Have you done that on the Disney Play app?
I've done it. It's just a lot to do. It's just overwhelming because, especially being at the park, the last thing I want to do is have my head buried in the phone. There's so much happening around you, and a lot of people don't pay attention to it. It's almost like the characters are all doing little things in the area that people may not be noticing because they're too busy playing the app. You know, it's almost like I'm watching a movie unfold if I sit there and just kind of watch what's happening around me.
What are your feelings about the Epcot overhaul? Do you have any strong feelings about what's going on at Epcot at all, or?
No, actually, because there's a lot of people who kind of grew up with being out here and stuff like that, and I only went to Epcot for the first time like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
In 2016, that was my first time at Epcot.
Yeah.
So I don't have any sort of emotional attachment bonds to Epcot. So
are you originally from Vegas or California, Vegas to Orlando? How?
No, I'm originally from Victorville, California. It's actually nearby Barstow.
Okay.
And San Bernardino. Those are like the two largest cities that is next to.
Got it.
But you have Victorville, California, and then from Victorville I moved to Vegas. Okay. But if like when they make the little changes at Disneyland, then I'm like, I don't know. But even then, I'm just like, you know what? That should have been changed a long time ago. Yeah. Like they're doing that whole rehaul for Avengers Academy, and I'm like, please bring it on, because there was so much stuff about California Adventure that waited so long for that part to find its footing to be something. It finally had became something, and now it's like we're bringing on more, and it's like, bring it on.
Yeah.
A lot of people in California were wrong when Tower of Terror went away, and they were really upset about it, and then they brought in Guardians of the Galaxy, and they were like, this is a much better overhaul.
Have you been on that?
Yeah.
I've never ridden that. I want to ride that so bad. I've heard it's incredible.
It's a completely different experience in Tower of Terror, but it was one that it needed. And I really like the fact that there's one Tower of Terror, and that's the one out here, and there's one of the Mission Breakout out there, so it kind of gives that replayability there. So
who is the one vlogger in town, when they put something out, you watch everything they do? Like, you can't miss one of their videos. Who is your top one go-to vlogger here?
If I was to pick one, I'd just pick the Brookhart Project. They're the only ones that I would watch consistently.
Okay.
They're literally the only vlogger I would watch consistently. Everybody else I'd probably be like, I'm not gonna watch this one. But they are kind of more in line with like what I like to do. So
yeah. Was there anybody that ever excited you got to meet them?
Healthy junk food.
Healthy junk food. I'm writing it down.
It's JP and Julia, and they were the one. Like, I think I was more hyped about meeting them than any other vlogger, and and I've built a really good friendship with JP, but I think meeting them, I was just like, oh yeah, like, that is my boy. So tell us a little bit about this goat simulator. What is the deal with this game? What is it, and why do you do it? I don't know. Honestly, simulator is just like many of the other games. I mean, like, it's definitely like a weird game, and
so you just run around bumping people with your horns? Is that...
Yeah. But there's another one that's a lot like it called Untitled Goose Game, where you're a goose and you're just kind of doing the same thing. It's a little bit different, but it's a fun game. And I was like, I can't wait till that comes out on the PlayStation, because I'm totally going to play.
What's your favorite system? What system do you play on?
I just play on the PS4. That's the only console I own. So,
and how is it? What do you do? Like a screen capture system or something or Twitch?
So the PlayStation, as well as like the Xbox, they all have the functionality of streaming.
Oh.
The PlayStation is just as easy as a button that says share. Literally, it says share on the controller, so you can literally press it, and then it'll bring you to another screen where you can type in the title of the video, and then you're live immediately.
We were talking about your videos this week on our vlog, and let's see, the trip to Alabama, you visited a medical museum there. Was this
Right.
someplace you knew about, or did you?
We just kind of stumbled upon it. Thought it was super cool. And it's just there's little neat treasures in your town, and I don't think a lot of people see that. Especially if let's use Orlando for example. Orlando is probably like the best example, because even though that's a small town and it has like a medical museum there and it had like a train museum and everything like that, there's all really cool things. But there's all really cool things in the town that you live in. Orlando is a great town, but it's not just Disney. There's still a lot of different things that people can see, that people can do, that may not have been very pushed, or even talked about. Like we have the Orange County Museum, which is right in the heart of downtown, right off of Wall Street. Beautiful museum. Tons of history in that museum because it used to be the old Orlando courthouse. In fact, you can go into the courtroom that is still intact as it did so many years ago. And on one of the tables where, the defendant would have sat, you can see Ted Bundy's name engraved in the table.
Wow.
But nobody knows about that.
Yeah.
Unless you go down there and see it. But nobody makes their way down that far. What other ones that I find that was really cool? Out in the land, they have a World War II Naval Museum. So they have like a real huge, F-14 in the front, and if you go inside, they have a lot of uniforms from that era of World War II, along with a lot of information regarding World War II. If you go outside the back, there's a giant, U-boat, like intact, that you can see, and that's not something that a lot of people know, but it's always close. Not when I first moved here, but I took a work trip in Andalusia, Alabama in 2015. And I remember that because there was an old movie theater and they had 2 screens. And there was a screen upstairs and a screen downstairs. And they never updated the movie theater. The movie theater was as the movie theater had been for many years. They improved the tech a little bit, but it's still 2 screens, upstairs, downstairs. And I wanted to see Star Wars, The Force Awakens. I really wanted to see that. So we buy the tickets and, just for fun, just wanted to go check out the theater and kind of scope it out. And as that theater was created, the reason why they had 2 screens is that it was originally a segregated theater. There, it was like, wow, like this is what it was used for? That's crazy, being from the West Coast. But, you can only imagine, like, oh, wow, like this was this small little waiting room for blacks to sit. And then they made a huge, waiting room for whites.
Waiting room for
incredible.
I
mean, it's when you talk about like those sort of things, especially like the time got really weird, especially like America post Reconstruction is really, really such a weird story, because there was a lot of stuff that we as African Americans gained and helped grow a lot during Reconstruction, and we lost it all, due to like violence, and wouldn't get that back for years. So it's especially Reconstruction era, that's definitely a time frame that is the most forgotten about.
Yeah.
So Like it's a moment that everybody knows happened, but it's a moment that is just like,
How do you feel specifically about the Disney Corporation and its history? Is it better to, ignore it and pretend that it didn't happen, or to study it and learn from it, or
it's like, you can't really put a lot of blame on the Disney Corporation. I mean, because there's a lot of things that you don't know, so you're kind of, I don't know, and there's a lot of question marks. For example, I think, when you have, Disney content like Mickey's Melodrama and Song of the South, these were entertainment that Walt had at his time growing up. So he knew minstrel plays was his culture and his enjoyment. And the stories of Joel Chandler Harris, that was like his thing. In fact, that was his Gone with the Wind. Like, I will make Gone with the Wind, and I make, Song of the South, which was honestly completely outdated. And it's not like he really knew. He just really wanted his Gone with the Wind.
Well, I think that history will show that specifically your content is going to be, if not a catalyst, it'll at least have a portion in the discussion here as far as the
Right.
the Florida area is concerned. I really appreciate everything you put out, and I'm sure I'm far from the only one. So I got a question. What's up with this Bucc-ees store, and should I drive to go there specifically for the snacks?
That's a great question. Bucc-ees is... Hang on, I'm just kind of walking here for a second. Bucc-ees is the greatest gas station to ever exist. So one thing that I have always kind of maintained was I like Wawa, and you live here, so
I love Wawa.
And you're from Colorado. Okay, so you love Wawa,
yeah,
right?
I love
and
Wawa. Yeah,
to me is like 7-Eleven on steroids.
Yeah.
Right? That's the best way to describe it. They go, oh, what is Wawa? It's 7-Eleven on steroids. Well, this is a Wawa on steroids. So it's really big. It's a really fun gas station. You won't have to drive very far because we're getting one in Daytona Beach.
Oh, nice.
So
very cool.
But I find it's 100% worth it.
I couldn't believe the wall of jerky. I would go there just for the wall of jerky.
Yeah, you would have all the jerky you ever wanted.
You just got done with your second acting gig. What's the biggest part you've ever played?
I don't know. I think Shadowbox was probably like one of the biggest roles I had. That was probably one of the biggest, but not just,
So mad I didn't get a chance.
It is more of a ensemble piece, but that piece was so powerful and it was so important to do. So I don't see that was like the biggest role I've had, but I find it was the most important. The
most rewarding for you.
Yep.
Excellent. So what's the future? What's going on? What's your next plan?
And February is an excellent month to really like barrel down into Black history. But if I can challenge myself to go a little bit more outside of that and look into the history of like Orlando and everything else and such like that, and to be a little bit more easier, I would really probably like to do that a little bit more this year. I mean, like maybe do like bigger projects. Who knows? Like it's whatever I can do that I enjoy at the moment until I find something else that I enjoy.
Thank you so much for coming on today. Like I said, I love everything you put out. It's so thought-provoking and it's so mind-numbing at the same time that it's the greatest antithesis of videos to watch, just a goat slamming against a car, and then all the thought-provoking, actual educational stuff you put out. That it's like your one-stop shop for video watching. And for a YouTube snob like myself that just does nothing but sits there and clicks YouTube videos forever, you're like the perfect vlogger. So you're always my number one. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. And
awesome, man. Thanks, bro. I appreciate it.
I will talk to you again real soon. And take care, man. Have a good night.
All right.
There you have it, folks. What a great interview we just had with Negrorlando, Shawn Rosell. Thank you so much for sticking through it. I know we had a couple long episodes this week for our first premiere episode, split into 2 parts. Thank you so much for coming. If you liked our content, next week we got an even bigger YouTube star. And when I say bigger, you'll know what I mean when you see him. Coming on next Thursday, we're going to be doing the filming, so it should be up by next Friday night as well. Just like this video, a weekly Resorts and Parks, The Wrap. Thank you so much. Click subscribe, click like, comment down below with your favorite Disney area vlogger, Central Florida local that you really enjoy watching. Let's get them on the list. Let's see what we can do to help out our fellow vloggers. Like I said, I'm not the artist, the content creator like all these other guys. I just am the super fanboy, and this is so much fun for me to do because I get to talk to all these guys and girls and couples, and it's just awesome. So watch our first video where we wrap up the whole top 25 for the week, and then this video with our interview with Shawn. So exciting to make this video with him, and thank you so much, Shawn, again for your help on this. Once again, I am a realtor. Please, if you guys need any help with buying or selling or renting a home in Central Florida, I'm your go-to guy. Please give me a call. My number is 407-340-8238. I'll put it on the screen right here. I'm with Global Real Estate. My name is John Sorensen, and this has been Florida's Worst Vlog presents The Wrap.